Welcome to Spells and Spoilers, the podcast where we dive into all things supernatural. This season, we're starting with Charmed, so grab your spellbook and your popcorn, and let's get magical. Welcome to Spells and Spoilers, where we dive deep into all things magical, mysterious, and full of chaotic supernatural energy. I'm Aleacia.
And I'm Elizabeth. This season, we'll go minute by minute through every episode of Charmed, giving you all the details and diving into the magic, the drama, and everything in between.
This week is our introduction episode, where we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, set the stage for our podcast, and prepare you for what you're going to hear each week. So, what exactly is Spells and Spoilers?
If it has witches, demons, prophecies, or dramatic love triangles, we're covering. Our goal is to react, discuss, and overanalyze all our favorite supernatural TV shows and books. And of course, spoilers ahead. Consider that your one and only warning.
So, what kind of content will we cover? We're going to do a lot of TV shows, so we're starting with Charmed this season. I think we discussed that we're going to do His Dark Materials next. We're going to kind of break it up between like a longer show and then like a shorter series, just to kind of let it breathe a little bit. We'll also be covering different books, like A Discovery of Witches, The Night Circus. And throughout, we'll be deep diving on tropes, giving hot takes and unpopular opinions that you can fight about in the comments. We'll also be doing some fun stuff on social media, so definitely check us out at Spells and Spoilers on Instagram or Spells and Spoilers Pod on TikTok. So, Elizabeth, what do you think was the first supernatural like TV show or book that really like got you into wanting to like consume that content all the time?
So, I've always been interested in like the supernatural stuff anyways, so I don't necessarily have a specific book or show, but one of my favorite ones is True Blood, because it's got a variety of characters, witches, werewolves, there's fairies in it, and, you know, vampires, so it's like a little bit of everything. And of course there's the hot, you know, characters and the hot scenes that are bonuses, but those are my favorite.
Well, we might have to cover True Blood on our podcast then.
Definitely. What about you?
So I am a really big Harry Potter fan, so I think that's really what stuck me. I started reading it in third grade because I remembered I wasn't allowed to read 4, 5, and 6 until I hit fourth grade.
Okay.
My mom was like, that's too mature. You have to at least be in fourth grade. But I read 1, 2, and 3 in third grade. And that really like stuck with me. Even still today, I'm like a massive Harry Potter fan. We will not be covering Harry Potter because it is so huge. It will take over our podcast. But there are some very wonderful Harry Potter podcasts that, you know, people can listen to.
Yeah. So if you could have any magical power from any show, what would it be?
That's a hard one. I think for me, honestly, I'm so busy that like duplicating myself would be really helpful.
That'd be a fun one. Yeah.
Or even, I think, like, you know, like what Piper has in, like, freezing time and stuff like that would be helpful. Because even sometimes if I could just have a few minutes, that would be so helpful. Yeah. And, you know, just to provide some context, I own 2 businesses and have a part-time job, and now I'm doing this podcast. So I never do anything except my responsibilities. So,
okay, no, I get that.
I'm the busiest bee. So having some more time or 2 of me, so helpful. What about you?
So I think those are really good ones. I think for me, it would be being able to travel faster. Okay. Whether it would be like, you know, in present or past. So then I can, I guess, kind of like teleport in a way. I think that would be a fun one. Or moving things with my mind, because that would be pretty nice too. You know,
it's funny that you say that, because I remember, like, before we even started with this podcast, I like used to say, because I'm an event planner, and so like you leave an event, it's like a 16-hour day, and then you have to drive 2 hours home with like all your stuff, and you are so sore and so tired. We call it the wedding hangover.
Gotcha.
And so like I used to say, like, if I could have a superpower, it would be to teleport, just so I didn't have to drive the 2 hours home. I could just be home. But I would have to be able to teleport objects too. Like if I could put my hand on my car and my car be loaded down with all my stuff, then you know,
yeah,
that's
would be nice.
The only way I would want it, because I can't just leave all my stuff. I'd still have to drive. So.
Right, yes.
What do you think, it can be about Charmed or about anything, like any other fandom, but what do you think is your most controversial supernatural opinion?
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I've shared it on our TikTok, but I am of the camp that Leo is a bad husband because he ditches Piper all the time. He doesn't prioritize her. He's kind of rude to her sometimes.
Okay. Well, I'll have to watch those episodes to find out.
So we'll have to watch along. I'm interested to see if I change my mind.
Okay.
I also think they should have left Cole dead.
I have noticed that you are like anti-Cole. I don't know who Cole is yet, but I have noticed you are anti-Cole.
My husband loves Cole, and he's like, please stop talking trash about Cole on your TikTok. And I said, I will not, and I will do it on my podcast too.
Oh, that's great. It is. I guess mine, this one's hard for me. I'm not sure.
That's fine.
I'm going to have to think on this one, and we'll come back to it later on.
We'll circle back. I won't forget. If you could be part of any supernatural universe, which one would you pick?
I kind of think that I might be, like, I would be interested in supernatural.
Yeah.
Because they've got, like, a variety of, like, different types of supernaturals. Like, there's demons and angels.
Right.
And, you know, God and the devil are in that. And then there's also witches and warlocks and different types of creatures.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, it covers, like, all the supernatural, I feel like. Yeah. And I think that would be an interesting one to be involved in.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's no surprise that I would pick Harry Potter.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say.
I have so much knowledge about Harry Potter, and I think it's so cool. I'm obsessed. I listen to supernatural, like Harry Potter podcasts. I have read the books a zillion times. I watch like YouTube videos. It's a whole thing. So I feel like I'm like an expert, which is kind of a shame that we will not be talking about it on our podcast. I know
maybe
so
we
much
could
about
throw
it.
in some little like snippets or something.
Yeah, maybe we'll like review a movie or something.
There you go.
It was like a bonus episode.
Yeah.
So is there like a reason that you like decided like let's go with Charmed first? Anything like specific to that for you?
No, I think for me, like I like the idea of doing Charmed because I haven't seen Charmed for probably 10 to 15 years or longer. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really recall what's going on, and I enjoy the supernatural shows, so I think this would be a perfect one to jump in. It is older, so I'm anxious to see how things have changed from, you know, the late 90s to now.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to just dive into it and go from there.
Yeah, I think like Charmed is pretty nostalgic for me. I have seen it a few times. It's been a while since I've seen it the last time, but I have seen it a few times, and it was something that I watched with my mom and stuff growing up. And you know, there are still things that I like quote that I like know come from that show just because it like burns into your brain, you know? Mm-hmm. And I do really like the aspect of it like being mostly women led. And kind of seeing how that has changed, because even like Alyssa Milano has said like she doesn't let her kids watch it because of the way they dress her. Mm-hmm. And so I'm interested to see kind of like how we interpret that.
Mm-hmm. And she is more sexualized in this. And I do like how you put on there that, you know, it's more women led. And I feel like it may have been even one of the first shows that I can recall where the primary actors are women that I can think of. Yeah. So that's also...
Well, and like I think the point about that too is that like we just went to Comic-Con and met Holly Marie Combs, and even she said like there's so few women-led shows now. Yeah. That like, you know, back then we had Charmed, we had Buffy, we had, you know, all these things that were coming out that had the woman as the hero, and like now it's like a lot harder to find that. We're just not seeing new content made about that. Like they did do the Charmed reboot, which we will not be covering.
No, I'm not interested in that one.
But you know, it's harder to find that kind of media in the way that it was presented. And I think too with Charmed, like, you know, there's a possibility that we cover Buffy in the future, but with Charmed it's nice because they're grown. You know, you're not going through like the high school years, even the college years, really. Yeah. You know, they're grown women.
Or it's like borderline, like, I don't know that I want to watch them, you know, make out or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know you said you haven't seen the show in a long time. Do you have a preference on the like Prue versus Paige controversy?
I feel like, I don't know, I like both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really recall much about Paige.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that I ever made it to watching those episodes.
Yeah, I think we lose Prue in the end of season 3.
Okay.
So, and that could be wrong, but I think
But
so.
it was early on in the seasons. And see, I remember Prue, but I don't really recall Paige. So
Okay.
I can't really answer that because I don't know.
Okay.
What about you?
I like them both. I think that they both are like really good standalone characters, and I don't really think they could have introduced Paige in a better way than they did because, kind of like Holly Marie Combs was saying at Comic-Con that like we were learning about Paige just like the actors were learning about Paige, but they didn't like shoehorn her in and make everybody suddenly like her, you know? So I don't think that they really could have handled that much better than they did. And she really does probably have one of the best character growths of anybody in the show.
Okay.
But I also do have like a soft spot for Prue because she's like so sassy. And also like
she is.
I'm the oldest sibling, so Piper's my favorite, but I do have a soft spot for
I'm the
Prue.
middle. I'm the middle of 5, like right there. So I feel like I can relate to Prue or Paige. I mean, Prue or Piper. So,
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm anxious to see the difference between the two.
Yeah.
And then get to know all the actors and actresses as characters.
Right. If you could create a spell, what kind of spell do you think that would be like most helpful to you, just like in your life?
Making dinner.
Making dinner.
Because, I mean, I'm a family of 6. So, and mom of 4 boys. So cooking would be like being able to come up with recipes and just, snapping my fingers in it, getting it done. That would be great. That would help out a lot.
For me, it's not so much the making of the dinner. It's the deciding what to have for dinner every day. Like every day, I'll like look at my husband and I'll be like, do you know what I'm going to ask? And he's like, no, I don't know what I want for dinner. I'm like, man, like I needed you to do that. I think if I could create a spell, it would be probably to fold and put away my laundry because I am a culprit of leaving it in the laundry basket for like a dreadfully long time.
I am right there with you. So I would appreciate that as well.
I have a 1.5-year-old and she goes through a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
And I change my clothes a lot. And there's so many. And so whenever I'm like, I've run out of clothes, I'm like, we really need to do the laundry because I have so many clothes that it's like impossible for me to run out of laundry.
That would be great. It really would. So what's one thing you'd change about Charmed if you could? Since you've, seen the whole series.
Yeah. I do think, kind of the trajectory that they take the girls, like it starts out a lot more empowering, I think, than what it ends up being, especially in the way that they like dress them and like their relationships with the guys and everything. I really kind of liked, in Buffy, she stays the same the whole way through. She dresses the same. She has the same attitude. She's not like, in Buffy, they're like, she can't ever be without a man. She has to just be dating somebody at all times. But it doesn't ever, to me, feel like she needs one. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like, she's a strong enough character that like, she's lonely and she's looking for somebody to compliment her, but it doesn't feel like she's like desperate for a man. And I do feel like sometimes in Charmed, we like kind of get that, especially with Phoebe, that she's looking for something. And so maybe like if we would have continued the original trajectory of the like women's empowerment, and I know I believe they changed like show writers at one point, and I think that probably had a lot to do with it. I feel like I read that somewhere, because even though like the main actresses were producers on the show, it still went in that direction.
I think Holly Marie Combs mentioned something too, that they did do. They did switches in the production and the producers too. Yeah,
but like to me, like having 3 women as your producers and your show still being overly sexualized and your actresses being like, wasn't really for that, tells me that it was a writing problem, not a production problem.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, like, that was something, you know, that I would want it to stand more for something that is, you know, something to be proud of than what it becomes by season 8. And, you know, even you probably, I'm going to say this and you're going to be like, what the heck are you talking about?
Okay.
But in season 8, they bring on Billy, played by the actress that plays Penny in The Big Bang Theory. And her character is equally, if not more sometimes, in her attire sexualized than Phoebe. And it kind of feels like they brought her in for eye candy. And I'm not really for that.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people blame Billy for the downfall of season 8. I think it was already done by that time. But we probably should have stopped it at season 7.
Well, I'm excited to see how the series goes.
Like, and in a lot of ways, like, there are things that are still new to me. I mean, my husband and I were talking about, like, what our favorite episodes of Charmed were, and there are a couple that, like, stick out to me. Like, I really like the episode where they release the 7 deadly sins, and, like, everybody gets a 7 deadly sin. I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
And then the episode where they, like, become Greek goddesses or whatever is so interesting. And, like, those two, like, stick out in my brain. My husband said that his favorite episode is the one where Prue dies. He said, he's like, not because of that. He's like, it's because, like, the world finds out about them and they have to, like, deal with the consequences of that. And I was like, I said, the one where Prue dies is so sad. And he's like, I don't know, I just like when everybody figures out that they're witches. Like, you're the worst.
I mean, that's fair. The next episode we're talking about is episode 1 in season 1, Something Wicca This Way Comes. So if you haven't watched it yet, now's your warning. So follow us on Instagram, which you can find us at Spells and Spoilers. You can also find us on TikTok and just search Spells and Spoilers Pod for updates, memes, and behind the scenes chaos. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your supernatural obsessed friends all about us.
And that is it for our first episode, our introduction. Thank you for listening and joining in on our magical chaos. Until next time, stay magical, stay dramatic, and always read the fine print before making a deal with a demon.